real change, societal change, will come if we educate kids and give kids the skills and tools to be able to sit and listen, to have a conversation like this and be able to be open about it and not and change so many archaic narratives around vulnerability, that it is a real strength. Asking for help is brave. In all honesty, it's nothing to do with the money, and that will be a byproduct maybe of things I'm doing, but I've got a purpose and a mission I'm on.
What's that?
Which is I want to reduce the suicide rate. Right?
If you had to like fast forward, I don't know, like 20 years, what do you think your daughter is more likely to remember?
Sorry, that's dumb really, I don't know. Yeah, just I hope that I was there and I was present. I was there for them at every occasion, all them through these bits over here and these bits over here and magic. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
You good, man? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
You okay, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right.
All right, so welcome to Business Blocks. This is the first one I'm doing of these.
Amazing.
So for the viewers on YouTube, hopefully there are some. This is Sam Thomas, and I've got to say, look, firstly, I love your podcast, man. Like this is what this hat's for here.
Love a bit of branding.
I'll get your hat later. Actually, don't forget that. So obviously I know you from doing things like the BBBC, and I know you from your podcast. Like I've watched loads of those. Like, tell me a little bit about maybe, I guess, what you got you into this in the first place, like podcasts and doing the BBBC. Like what kind of started all of that?
Yeah, I guess I've been into business. I've been running my own businesses for nearly 15 years now, in and around Brighton. I come to Brighton originally. I was in the hairdressing industry, so I had a hair salon. I was never a hairdresser, hence the, but yeah, I was never a hairdresser. It was purely a business thing for me. So I managed a toning guy in Lakeside for 5 years, and then I just loved business and I wanted to get into my own business, and I took over a salon in 2010. So it was an Essentials, like a sister company of toning guy. That got me to Brighton originally, but didn't work out. I ended up closing it after 3 years, lost loads of money, had to sell my house. But because I wasn't cutting hair, I was out networking, and my network started to build from then. And I was just really lucky at that period of time to just meet some amazing people within the Brighton, Sussex in general, but the Brighton business community. And I just saw, although on one hand the business had failed and I'd closed it, on the other hand I just saw loads of opportunities. And that's when I got involved with a company called Fernballs, which done five-a-side football and golf and like networking through sport. A friend of mine was running it, and he was like, "Look, come on board. You can run it." So he was doing it part-time at the time, so I was just like, "Well, okay, let's get on there." And I loved it, football and business too, my passions. So I'm like, right, let's do this. And I still run that today. Like, that's been since 2013. So I had leagues all over the country. We've got leagues in London, and just bringing people together on a regular basis to play sport, right? And network and through like the business world. So, and again, that network just started to build and build and build. Then I took over Sussex Business Times magazine in 2017 with a view to launching a business club. And that's on the back of that. So that's been the journey to get there. And then the business club we launched in 2020 with a view to share company stories. So we've got a business publication, and then we done events. And I was like, I got hooked during lockdown. I just got hooked on podcasts. Never listened to one before in my life. The first one I listened to was a high performance podcast.
I've got the book of that. Is that the what the two guys?
Jake Humphreys and Damien Hughes.
Yeah, I love that.
It was just a brilliant podcast, and I was every time I was going for my morning one, I'd listen to another one, and then I heard they interviewed Stephen Bartlett, who I'd never heard of, and I was like, this guy's fascinating. So I ended up reading his book, Happy Sexy Millionaire, started listening to Diary of a CEO, and both of them podcasts probably, I love the format of it. I love the conversation. I love a chat, as you probably understand about me. But I just love the fact that you could dip in and out of a conversation. And I'd listen to 20 minutes here, half hour there. And I was like, well, look, I've got a business club that shares company stories. I'll just start a podcast, and how hard can it be? Well, I'm just going to have a conversation with someone and see what happens. And it started out initially, I had the very first one I'd done online on my laptop in my loft, like with a guy called Brad Hatchett, who's a good mate of mine, runs Network My Club. And it started out as this business podcast. And I always wanted to highlight some of the challenges that would come up from running your own business, being an entrepreneur. So not just highlight what we see on social media sometimes that glamorises a lot of it, but try and delve into a little bit of the trouble, because I know how many troubles I had, so I just wanted to try and go and almost as an exploration and therapy for me to see if we can do it.
That's the podcast, is it?
That was the podcast, yeah. So I just sort of started out like that. Like, is this what? But it's ended up being the thing of everything I've ever done in business that I love the most.
I can see that as well, because when I watch the podcast, like, I don't know, I just sort of feel like I see you just lost in thought.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, and you're so good at holding space as well when there's like when I saw that one with Assis, for example, like I almost feel like each time you're with someone, you're like in awe of them, and there's like, and that's so cool to see.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
It's kind of you to say. I think like for me, it was that feeling of going. Like, I loved the podcast I mentioned that I listened to. I loved them, but they were always interviewing like these elite athletes or Richard Branson's and those type of people that seem so far removed from reality that we can't necessarily resonate with them because they're who they are. Whereas I was like, I was always in awe of the amount of inspiration that we're surrounded by. I look at some of the people within our business community and I just think they're doing it day in, day out, and they're inspiring people. And then one of the taglines of the podcast was always, everyone has a story to tell, right? Now, whether you've reached the top of your game and you're an Olympic champion, or you started a business 20 years ago and you're still running it today and you've had all the pitfalls, like, we've all got a story, whatever that looks like. And I just wanted to create a platform to share that. And then it became that bit more, and it was a bit more like this, for me, really delving in, I guess, to the definition of success and what that means to be successful, and then sharing my own lived experience and my own journey around, mental health and suicidal ideation and really struggling at those points. So much of it was focused around success. And because I was going to, I watched Only Fools and Horses growing up. I was going to be this time next year, I'm going to be a millionaire. Right? That was my tagline from when I was about 8. And I'm like, and I got to 40 and I'm like, I'm not a millionaire. I said I was going to do that by now. What? And then, I'm jovial about it, but it went into a place where you're like, this is really not. I just felt like a failure. And I was running 2 businesses at a time that were doing okay. They were paying bills. I had we didn't own our own house because I had to sell the one we were thinking, but we was renting a place. I had 2 beautiful kids and a wife, and I still had amazing things, and yet I felt just completely like a failure and didn't want to be here. And that was really them delving into that side of it. Took over the podcast in a way of going, it's just an exploration of what does it mean to really be successful? Like, what does success, how damaging it is for society's narrative of being, this is what success should be. And then what saved me and got me out of it was I was surrounded by love. Right? Like, as woo-woo or whatever that sounds, I'd experienced love in all its forms. I was a father, I was a son, I was a brother, I was a mate, I was a husband, all of them, and for a friend. And I'm just surrounded by love. And you go, hang on a minute, I'm looking at this shit all wrong, right? If the metric in which I'm measuring success was based on the relationships I've built and the impact that people have had on me and I've had on other people, mate, I'm having it off. Yeah. I'm doing all right.
I was going to say, because I hear you asking people what their definition of success is a lot, but I don't think I've ever heard yours.
Yeah.
So, I mean, have I missed it somewhere, or have you never actually got...
To be honest, I'll steal the lines, I guess, from Charlie Maxey, from The Boy, the Mould, the Fox and Hawk, is to love and be loved, right? That is it. And he says, I've done a few of the drawings about it, and he says, what is success? It's just to love. And I know that, again, it can potentially sound a bit woo, but it is like, why are we here? What is life all about, right? And we're going too deep into it. You go, like, some of them questions I've been asking people on that exploration of it, and I think, actually, surely this is what it's about, right? Human connection and being surrounded by, because of all the stuff that we know about and all the books we've read and all the people who go, get to the end of your life and you look back, no one says about success is wealth, fame or social status, which the dictionary still defines it, right? But it is about the people that you've gone on that journey with, the people that you're surrounded with, the love that you've got in your life. That is it. And if we can go about that on a daily basis to try and feel that, I guess, and then from this exploration, I guess, really simply, that would be it. But what's come out of the 100 episodes and the framework now that I guess I've put around what success means is these 5 pillars that have come out of it, which is what I try and look at it and measure it on now, which is balance, authenticity, presence, fulfillment and relationships. Those 5 elements are, and that's just not met from me, that's what's come out of hundreds of conversations from now, talking to, and I've been fortunate enough to talk to Olympic champions, I've been fortunate enough to talk to World Cup winners, multi-millionaires and everyone in between. And all of those definitions, all of the themes, that those 5 things come out of pretty much all of the conversations in some form.
That's interesting, because I remember, who was he a swimmer, the guy that you had when you were doing the BBBC at the Shelter Hall? Was it like an Olympic swimmer?
Yeah, diver. Yeah,
the diver. That was it.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting, and I think he's obviously had extreme success and seen that kind of go up and down and stuff. So it's interesting that when you talk to all these different people, like the kind of pillars that you've chosen have been consistent throughout. The thing that I find really interesting is that, like, so at the beginning, like when you were talking about these like so-called like failures, so there's the word failure, and then like towards like after that there was like the word success. Like it feels quite black and white. I'm just wondering, like, what's going on with that, because like are there shades in between that, or like what? I suppose my question is, where has this kind of binary failure versus success thing come from?
I love that. Great question. I think that's a really valid point, because I think some of the stuff I'm trying to do is reframe success, right? But actually, for me, there's narratives around failure as well. Okay. And I don't think they are. Like I do these little lunchbox letters for the kids, and one of the things was like, failure's like the road to success, right? Like you've got to fail to get there. So, and actually, what I'd love to reframe that in the sense, like, I think as soon as you mention the word failure, there's a negative connotation to it. So people immediately go, failed at that today, it's a bad thing. Was what if the reframe it, if I said to you, like, as we was having this conversation, and I'll go to you, I failed that first business I failed at, and you go, oh wow, what did you learn from that? Like, it was just a learning process, which it is, right? And the more we learn, the better we come. Like, I think Stephen Bartlett's got like a head of failure at the business, right?
Right, really.
Like, so actually, if we reframed it, and it was, and there wasn't a negative connotation to it. There was a thing of actually, and if I try and say to my kids, like, failure is just, all it is a great learning opportunity. That's what it is. It's a learning opportunity that you will take, and then you will go and you will learn something from it, and whatever you learn from it, then you go and do something else, or you will take something from any failure. And I think so. I think both of them things need to be looked at and changed. So you're right, so there is more of it's not just a binary, right? Failure is bad, success is really great. It's got to be that there's a balance there, and I'm going to fail and I'm going to learn at stuff, and I'm going to get to this. I think
and where I guess, like, my follow-on question from that was like, why do you think you landed on those 2 options? Like, what is your connection with those 2 options? Like, where'd that come from?
I think again, back to probably that period of time of going, I was living towards a definition of success, which was, I'm going to be a millionaire, or that is going to define my achievements. My achievements and goals are going to define my success, and I haven't achieved those achievements and goals, so I've failed. So that was the polarization for me. That was like a thing. Like, I'd set that, not achieved it, so I failed. So that's where I was sitting. And then you go, is the achievement, the goal, not really the thing. It's the process, right? I know that a lot of the stuff that's come out seems like they're cliches that come out of the podcast for me, but they're so true, right? They're cliches because they're true. Like, and you go, like, the journey and the process it's got to be about that. It's got to be, isn't it? Because if you're fixated on going, right, when I get there, when I get to that point in life, I'm going to be happy or I'm going to be successful, inverted commas, whatever that looks like. All you're doing is delaying happiness, right? You're just delaying that period of time of going, why delay happen? Why not go? That's why presence is one of the 5 pillars. Why don't I just be right now in the moment, where I am right now, go, I'm okay. This is where I'm meant to be and I'm okay. I'm really conscious of the stuff I say about it's not then not to be ambitious. It's not to go, oh, I'm happy where I am now. I'm just going to sit here. And I think Sarah Willingham, who came on the podcast, she said it brilliantly. She was talking about her friend who was going, she said, I'll just polishing my basil leaves. Okay. But I love that. And I'm like, because he was just, the metaphor, what she was saying was, he was just in the moment all the time and he got life. He was in the moment and he understood but so he wasn't chasing fulfillment, or wasn't it? But there's a balance, again, back to them, balance being one of the pillars, is they all link into each other. So you've got to have balance with that, right? Because you can't just sit around and polish basil leaves every day, right? So you want to, and there's got to be elements of fulfillment in your life or purpose. And what do you want to, so with all these things I'm saying and all these learnings I've had, for me, I think it's almost like an ongoing pursuit, being mindful of all them things. It's an ongoing pursuit of that fulfillment, but trying to be as present as we can in it. And I fail it all the time. I struggle with being, but I'm constantly looking at the future and where am I going, or maybe sometimes worrying about the past. But the reality is, all that is now. And if we can spend as much time in this present moment as we can, that's where the magic is, right? And the real joy of life. And you experience it as much as possible. So I'm trying to work on days as much as I can to, as much as I'm probably as more ambitious today than I've ever been. But I'm doing it, in all honesty, it's nothing to do with the money. And that will be a byproduct maybe of things I'm doing. But I've got a purpose and a mission I'm on.
What's that?
Which is I want to reduce the suicide rate. Right? Okay, my main goal is I want to reframe success in a way that helps with a mental health crisis. That's like 84 men die of suicide every week in the UK.
It's crazy. An absolutely staggering statistic.
Every time I hear it, okay, it's the biggest killer in men under 50. No? So we're almost twice more likely to kill ourselves, men, than cancer, than road traffic accidents, than someone else killing, whatever it is. We're more likely to that. What? That's wrong, right? That's got to be wrong. And where does that come from? And my exploration has looked, and you go, right? Is it so much of it is, I think, really delving into it and asking these questions all the time is to do potentially with a lack of skills from understanding and processing emotions, right, from a young age.
How do you mean? What do you mean by that?
So for me, I'm looking at like what we haven't necessarily got the skill set to. So when we're struggling, we get to a point in life, they call it midlife crisis, midlife awakening, wherever you land on that. But you get to a point in life and you maybe feel a bit lost, you lack a bit of purpose, whatever those things are, or you're just struggling. People will go through times where there's mental health struggles, right? So you're struggling. A lot of it comes down to not being able to understand why you're feeling that and accepting that. And like we talked a bit offline about it, being able to sit with an emotion and understand why you're feeling like that, and being able to articulate it, being able to talk about it, having the skills to be able to go, oh, I understand, I'm feeling a bit like this and I'm feeling it. And these are at the same time, I'm feeling sad, but also I've got happiness over here. So, but what can they live in the same space? Can they live together? Okay, maybe they can. And I think if kids, if we were teaching this sort of stuff at schools, as opposed to the archaic curriculum that is built for an industrial revolution that doesn't even exist anymore. If we was teaching kids skills like that about life in general, asking maybe some of the big questions that we ask ourselves when we get to midlife about who we are, what are our values, and we're focusing on being a good person and living to those values, as opposed to, again, back to the success and achievement side of it. School is achievement based, right? Do this, get that, you get rewarded. So he's trying to change that. So I think there's something really, I really believe in the work I'm doing with the podcast. I believe I can, in the You're Right Mate campaign and all of those elements that I can try and do to affect change here with adults and people maybe of my age group or a bit younger. But real change, societal change, will come if we educate kids and give kids the skills and tools to be able to sit and listen, to have a conversation like this and be able to be open about it and not... And change so many archaic narratives around vulnerability that it is a real strength. Asking for help is brave. Do you know what I mean? Those messages are so important that we should be able to arm our kids with that and arm that next generation with. That, for me, is maybe where the real change comes.
And where do you think this kind of like love for wanting to change this narrative comes from? What's important to you about changing this narrative?
I think I go through, like my own lived experience of going through that tough time, and it was a really tough. I remember reliving it, and it was really strange because I've been doing a podcast now for 4 years, right? 130 episodes. Plus the 24-hour podcast, over 150 conversations about it, right? And up until the 100th episode, I talked about it a bit like I'm now, not flippantly, that's the wrong word to use, but I sort of brushed over it. I had a dark period and, I struggled a little bit. And then I've done that retreat with Toby Moore, who's a TEDx curator. And,
I know Toby.
Yeah, lovely guy. And I went on his retreat last year. And he asked some questions, and I relived that moment. That moment I was sitting in my car and I didn't want to be here. And I'd almost parked it in my head. Although I spoke about it, I hadn't really relived it. And that time then, and I just broke down. I was sat in front of him and these group of people I didn't know, and I just broke down. And I really realised how dark it had got for me. I don't think I'd acknowledged how dark it was. Like I did. I sat there and thought about killing myself. I thought about not wanting to be here anymore. I just didn't want to be in that pain anymore. And I come out of that thinking, because of these narratives and all the things, and I was thinking, I'd love for them not to be that, to change that narrative so that other people don't maybe feel like that. We give people the skills and the tools to be able to get we do reduce that suicide rate so that less and less people feel that pain, because anyone that's struggled, and I think, we all go through our own problems, but to get to that low point, and on the face of it, like you say, I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful and so lucky to look at them beautiful kids of mine, and I'm like, break my heart, they're beautiful kids. And to get to a low point, I didn't want to be here for them. And then there's all the feelings of shame around that. You feel shameful around, but that's why I feel it's so important to talk about it. Because if we can share that, and we can share that there isn't shame, there's like statistics, and you can't quote me on this, but it's around sort of 15 to 20% globally people will have suicidal ideation. So we have those thoughts. People will have those thoughts. Only 1% might act on that. But again, what if we were to give people the skills to be able to cope with that, to be able to understand why maybe I feel like that, and actually it's okay. There's no shame about it. It's okay to feel like that, because other people will feel like that. But when you're in it, you feel like I can't speak about this because what people go, what's the matter? Like, come on, you'll be all right. Like look at all the stuff you've got, but in your time when you're in that moment, it's is dark. But you want to. It's got to be that we normalise that conversation around it. That it's okay. That, you know, a lot of the quotes that come out, like, it's okay not to be okay. It's vulnerability, is real strength. Asking for help, being brave enough to just go, you know what, and that's what the You're Right Mate campaign was about.
Yeah, I love that campaign, by the way. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. I love the whole kind of message behind it. What do you think, like, because, like, coming out of what must have been an incredibly tough time, you know, when the way that you described it was quite vivid, actually. Like, what do you think you learned from coming through the other side of that you now kind of carry forward in your business, in your personal life now? What do you think you learned?
I think very much along the lines of being better at asking for help, being better at putting my hand up, being better. I was always the guy. I've always been the guy. I'm an eternal optimist, right? I've got a smile on my face 99% of the time. I'm that guy. I'm out and about. Social media, I have a little picture of me with me smart. Yeah, all right, I'm there. I'm that guy. Yeah. People ring me up. You all right, Sam? Yeah, buzzing. Yeah, what's happening? I'm that guy. When I was going through that dark period, I was like, I can't answer the phone to people. I don't want to be in that environment because I'm not that guy. I don't feel like that guy. I might put masks on from time to time and I'll go out there. Because what I didn't want is someone to go, you all right? And I'm going, I'm struggling a bit at the minute. And them to think of me in a negative thing. And that's where the shift's gone for me. So that now I go, people ask me and I try and answer honestly. I go, you know what, I'm struggling a bit in a minute. What I recognised was actually it doesn't make me, I'm still that guy. I'm still Sam who's positive and my cup's always full. It's overflowing generally, right? It's always full. But okay, it's okay to go, it's not great. It doesn't make me a negative person. It doesn't make me not got these values and this enthusiasm. This doesn't make me that person. It just makes me I'm going through a tough time. And what you recognise is that, again, one of my favourite sayings is this too shall pass, right? So whether you're in a good place or a bad place, it's going to pass. That is just a period of time that will pass. So, and that helps you get, because when you're having it off and things are great, just be mindful that, you know, you might not be there forever, and that might pass, and you'll be in some dark time. But when you acknowledge that and you accept it, then you go, when you're in the dark times, that can help, because you go, this is just a period of time, and this will pass as well. And that, I think that has been a big learning for me. It's accepting and being able to put my hand up and go, I'm not great at the minute. Yeah. Be okay with that. And then two, recognising from my own internal thing to go, actually, I know this is going to pass. I know I'm feeling shit now. I know this is tough, but it's a pass. And
how does that apply to, say, your business or your personal life? Because, like, you seem someone, I met a lot of people who aren't very in touch with their emotions, their feelings. They can be quite closed off. Like, particularly in men, it's very common. You don't seem like that to me. You seem like someone who's done a lot of work on themselves. Like, how, given that you have done so much work on yourself, how held back do you feel by, like, anything at all, like, in your business? Like, what holds you back, if anything, do you think, from?
Really good question. I think for me, the work, especially recently, like, I've done a lot of work on myself the last 3-4 months and over the summer. What's come up for me a lot, like, recognising what holds me back is the feeling of inadequacy. Like, there's a perception potentially of me from the outside world and social media and the events and stuff like that I'm this guy who people have said is very successful, or have got a perception of me in that light. Whereas internally, I feel completely inadequate, like in relation to, and what I recognise is stems from my childhood. Like, at school, I wasn't great. I done okay at school. I done okay. I got GCSE. I done okay. I failed A-levels, but I done okay. But I didn't love school. I was great at sport. Didn't love school. Like, academically, I wasn't that. And actually, the narrative, and not put on me by anyone else, my own internal narrative. My brother, who's my best mate, I love him. He's my best mate, hands down. He lives in Australia now, but, you know, we're in touch all the time. I love him. but he was really academically intelligent, really super clever. And he was referred as he's the clever one.
Yeah.
Not that was put on me by my mum and dad or anything, but the default for me, my internal narrative was, I'm the thick one then. I'm great at football and I'm good, but I'm thick. So I actually played that role with him. I've looked at it and again, just the work, I suppose, really analysing stuff and going, my friendship group played up to that. Not class clown, and I wouldn't say I was that guy, but I was not the intelligent one. So, and I think when I really look at it and where I am right now, even I look at what I've done in business and in life and stuff, and actually probably the thing that's held me back the most is that internal narrative, that story that I constantly replay in my mind, that I'm just not enough.
But when you say, like, because you ask people what their definition of success is, stuff we've talked about, the whole kind of binary kind of success failure thing. Like you're using the word inadequate a lot, and I'm just curious, like how would you define inadequate?
I guess really good and good insight. I guess again, just I'm probably my biggest critic. So for me, it is looking at archaic metrics of how I'm measuring. So, but even inadequate when it comes to maybe being a father. Like, am I the best father? I don't know. I question that a lot, and I'll try and be the best dad I can. But like, so much of this has played up to, again, it just lends itself into these archaic metrics. Like, I think, I'll give you an example. My 10-year-old, they're 10, the twins, right? So asked me the other day, can you help me with my maths homework? Hey? I'm like, well, yeah. And like, they're sitting there explaining it. And I tell you, in all honesty, it brought up a lot of stuff for me. I'm like, they're 10 years old and I can't really help them with that. Because I don't get it. So that made me feel inadequate. And then you go, it just plays a narrative in your head that I'm just not enough. But actually, just my presence and being there, maybe that's enough. But I don't feel like.
I was going to say, because like you say the word enough, but like what is enough? Like I noticed there's like a lot of metrics that come up for you. Like you use the things like best dad, you use things like adequacy, like enough, like. There's a lot of metrics that you're giving yourself here, like a lot of almost like targets that it seems like you like seemingly needing to hit. Yeah.
You're so right. And again, I'm really conscious, and I get a feeling of probably feeling a little bit lost lately with that, because I'm like, over in one hand, I'm preaching a lot of this stuff, right? Preaching the stuff I've learned and what I truly believe. And at the other hand, I'm sitting over here and trying to remind myself of the stuff I'm teaching, because I'm not, maybe, because one of the things that come out is authenticity, right? I want to be the most authentic side of myself, and I'm struggling with that narrative at the moment. Struggling with landing there, because I'm going, I really believe this. I preach this every day and I post and I'm doing this, and yet what I'm living over here, my narrative to myself over here, is not in alignment maybe with that over here. Yeah. See what I mean? So I think you're right. I'm trying. It's a work in progress. I'm trying to look at going, why am I trying to measure on these goals or achievements where I'm just actually, I'm just where you are right now is enough. But again, all I can put it down to is the feeling of going back to my 10, 12, 15-year-old self of not feeling enough because of the narrative I played to myself then. I'm still looking at that now. Like it was, because of getting back to school and education, it was achievement. I had to get down because I didn't always achieve that. I felt failure, inadequate, again back to these words that I'm using, and I think I'm trying to unpack 40 years of that now and trying to write a new narrative for myself. And I think the work I'm doing is helping with that to a degree. But I'm on the journey with it. That's the beauty of the podcast for me, and the whole journey of where the podcast has gone and the direction of where the businesses have gone and all of them, is because it's me actually living and breathing it and learning on the way as I'm doing it. I'm still 150 episodes in, I'm still learning this shit, and I'm still trying to unpack a lot of it. And I think that's where I'm at with it, I guess, at the minute.
What do you think it would take to give yourself permission to let go of that old narrative?
Great question. I wish I had the answer to that. I don't know. That's the honest truth. That's me being. I don't know. I don't know what it would take. Like, because I look round, and I remember. Give you an example, like the 100th episode, right? Being in that room on that day when I showed that. So I was surrounded by love that day. There's 150 people in that room for me, just there for me. And that day I felt enough. That day I just like, and I could bottle that. But the problem I have with that, as much as it was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment in my life. It was lovely. But that relies on external validation, right? So the battle I have with that is why can't I? What is it? And this is where the exploration at the minute for me. Why can't I bottle that feeling? That's great. That's amazing. But just believe that myself. Believe it. As much as all them people there believed in me, 100%, they was there for me. And so I felt seen and heard that day more than I probably ever have done. But it is external. It's other people's validation of me. And I'm trying to get to a point where, and I don't know the answer of how I get there? How I take that feeling and what I could bottle and tell the narrative to myself more. And it is just trying, and it's a work like for the first time in my life, I'm probably really unpacking a lot of that. I guess that's where I'm at with it.
I mean, like when, this might be a bit of an out there question, but like when you, in that moment and you felt like enough and you said that there was like 150 people there for you and stuff, like when that feeling of feeling enough, like whose voice are you hearing then?
I guess maybe there's maybe elements of like myself telling me that I'm enough, but also I guess my parents, like I love them. I know they're proud of me. They're the most beautiful people in the world. Love them. They've loved me unconditionally all my life. Always been there for me. And I know they're proud of the stuff I do. They've told me and that. But again, this is where the contradiction comes in for me. I don't feel like I've done enough. Don't feel like by society's metrics, not I know the real metrics, right? So I've all of the stuff again. It's back to the authenticity, the contradiction side of things for me is looking at all of these things I know to be true.
Yeah.
And old beliefs that I've just I've got to keep chipping away at until they're not there anymore. Until those old beliefs I've completely changed that narrative, and I don't know whether that's going to be. I'll come to that because I'm on this journey now, or is it going to be a societal metric that I don't? I don't think it will. That's the thing. And because I know it won't be, that's why I'm trying to get there beforehand to that point of going. It's never going to be when I reach X, Y, and Z or some achievement. You know what I mean? Because I know that's not true.
Yeah, I mean, like, so for me, like, I'm seeing almost like two narratives here. I'm seeing like there's the narrative that is like you wanting society to change this kind of archaic metric system, right, through the work that you're doing, like through all the amazing work that you're doing, and then like I'm seeing almost like a subplot where like you're trying to like change that narrative for yourself, that archaic metric thing. So I suppose, like, I'm wondering what your expectations maybe are of like yourself in this. Like, what, like, if you say that, because you use these kind of metrics on yourself all the time. Like, what are your expectations of this narrative changing for you?
I guess it's my feeling of coming through, I guess, to a point where I wholeheartedly live and breathe all of this that I'm saying, and that demons, archaic narrative, whatever it is that goes getting to maybe is that part of life that I'm never going to get there. Don't know. That's, is it that actually just getting to a point in life where I'm completely at peace and comfortable with exactly who I am and where I am at that moment right now? That's got to be the nirvana moment, maybe. So do we ever get there where we're just there in that moment, and we just be, as opposed to constantly doing.
Yeah. And like, I suppose I'm interested to know, like, with what you're doing a lot to kind of change this narrative for society, but also yourself by the looks of things. What do you feel like you haven't tried already that you could try? Maybe you're being held back from trying it, that could help to change this narrative?
I think acceptance. There's got to be a level of acceptance for myself to be able to let go, right? You've got to be able to accept that I'm again back to that emotional awareness and skills, that we're able to deal and understand where we are. I think that would be, for me, where I need to be. That would be, and something to be able to shift that is just constant daily practices, whether it be gratitude, whether it be my daily swim, whether it be those little things and trying to each day get to a point where I'm more in that moment, being more present. That I'm trying to get to that place a little bit more, and that's where I think there's going to be a shift. And it started to be like, there's been a couple of occasions recently where I've gone, my phone is, like most of us, we every day, right, we're like glued to it, and we're programmed trying to go, I'm going to not look at that today as much. The same with, I've given up drinking this year. Like I've for the first time since I was 18, just gone not drinking anymore. And that's been a big shift for me. So it's again trying to go, for me, if the biggest thing in life, when you talk about the biggest regret of dying, is I've not lived a life true to myself, right? So I've not lived a life in alignment with my values. So I'm trying to get to that point where I'm completely in alignment with my values always. And I think like sort of not drinking, that's an element of that, because I believe that's helping me in some ways. So I'm trying to do this. Things like I'm talking about being present, and yet I'm sitting there on my phone 5 hours a day. Like,
you know
what I mean? So it's trying to, these little smaller things that I can try, little habits that I can try and change on a daily basis to bring me into that moment. Like, I don't know if I shared with you, I done a post recently about, I went to a friend of mine, John Barnes, he took me to this quarry, and we went and sat in, it was 12 degrees in this little quarry for a field. And he said to me, he said, look, when we meet up, he said, it's 6:30 in the morning, so sun was rising. He said, we won't talk, we'll just walk through the field. And then when we get in the water, where we can chat.
Yeah.
So we'll just try and be really mindful. And I walked through this field, and there was like this mist. And it was one of them moments in life, you just go, And I got really emotional. I got in this quarry. And I just this cold, I do cold water stuff, so I love it. So I just got in. I was like, this is it, and this is what I was just. There was nothing else in life other than that moment right there. I was wholeheartedly there, 100%. You go, oh, that's magic. That's gold. That little, just being there and trying to. How can I get that on a more regular basis? So when I'm with my kids, really like. Not just be there with the kids, but really, really be there. The probably one of the reasons I love the podcast so much is because you'll find this, I'm sure, but you've got to be there, right? You've probably got an idea of stuff you wanted to talk to me about and everything, but we're just having a conversation, right? So you listen to what I'm saying and then respond to that and then ask me something and I'm similar. So you're then forced to be here, which I love. It's probably why this is the best thing I've ever done, because it gets me to that place as much as possible. So I guess in a roundabout answer to your question, just trying to look at on a daily basis what things can I do to get me to that place as much as I can.
Yeah. Do you know what sort I find kind of interesting is that when we talked about when you said you felt like you were enough, and it was because you were on that stage of like 150 people, and you used the phrasing like, I wish I could bottle that up and like, you know, replicate it or you know, however you phrased it. And then now you're saying in this moment when you're in that in the quarry, and you said like I want to almost like replicate this as well. That I'm seeing a lot of like wanting to, like when things are good, like wanting to be able to replicate. I'm just wondering what's going on there with that for you.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's really interesting. I know. I guess looking at it, just thinking, exploring, like my exploration of life and exploring those parts of life where you go, oh, this is gold. This is magic. Like these elements, I'd love to, if this is what maybe it's about, we can experience more of that on a daily basis. Can I experience more of that on a daily basis? Those elements, whether they are, like, I guess whether it's the high of the 100 episode, or the feeling of quiet and peace in your mind at the quarry, whatever, they're different, right? They're different, but still hold magic in some way.
Yeah.
So just try and experience in those different parts of it. I guess that's the beauty of life, right? It's not one thing that's going to be the thing that fixes you or you feel great. There's just all these, and this is, again, back to, I guess, the whole thing around the journey and the process. Like, just even actually just unlocking it as I'm talking to you now, just trying to map it out and go, actually, look at that. Well, we looked at the last year from February, from the 100th episode to now, and all the things that have happened, all the things. Actually, if I just look back at that, there's been so many of them lovely magical moments, right?
Yeah.
That's life. Then that's great. Maybe I'm already there.
I was going to say, because you know
we fixed it, mate. God, it took us an hour to put it. It's gold. We've done it.
But it's like, because it does sound like, you know, you find these moments more than you maybe give yourself permission to see them.
You know what? It's so true, and maybe it is that, right? Like, I'm sitting here listening and talking to you and thinking, actually, like these feelings over here of inadequacy and shit narrative that you're giving yourself, and actually, you know, I'm achieving all these things, and what I'm achieving is not achieving as in achievement. Like going and sitting in a quarry is not an achievement, is it? Yeah. But it's
might be for something.
But yeah, it's 12 degrees. You're going to struggle if you're not used to it. You know what I mean? I'm lucky I've got a bit of a weight on me, but mate, that's it, innit? That's life. That's the beauty of. This is the beauty of life, right? And actually recognising those small wins along the, and that is a win, right? That is a win. Yeah. That feeling, and that's all it is a feeling, right? And that's, again, so much of success or whatever those narrative and stuff we're talking about, but so much of it in life is a feeling. What is that feeling that we're craving, or that feeling we want? And like for me, in that core is that feeling of peace and gratitude and being thankful to be there, and yet And the 100th episode was a different feeling, but an amazing feeling of feeling enough and feeling validated and all of those things. So it's a feeling that is it all the stuff I'm searching for? But actually, is it that on a daily, weekly basis? That's why gratitude journals, I guess, are a good thing to do. Or, on a weekly basis, just sitting there and going, how's this week been? There's going to be highs and lows in every week, but what can I take out? What's that magic that I can take out? Because there will be if we open our eyes and lift our head up, there's going to be magic all around us, right?
No, absolutely. Okay, then in that case, how might some of these kind of revelations, or maybe not revelation, maybe that's a bit strong, but like how might some of these insights help you to begin to let go of that old narrative? Even if it's not just clearing it off, because the thing is, we try and do things sometimes too quickly, and sometimes hit the goal in one rather than trying to do you know what I mean? So how might some of these insights help you to chip away at that old narrative? Maybe that's a better question.
Yeah. I think listening to the new narrative that maybe, like you said, whether it's come out of our conversation today, but just that actually. Really looking at that, trying to look for those moments more often, because if I'm looking for them as opposed to looking for couldn't help my daughter with her own work, and I'm focusing on that. Okay, that's happened, but that's fine. But look at that. Look at last night. I sat there with them and watched The Boy and the Moulder Fox and the Horse and read them the second book. It was beautiful. What a beautiful moment that was. Go focusing on that and not the narrative of couldn't help her with her maths homework and feeling inadequate. So you're focusing on the magic that you can create over here. So maybe that, like you said, the daily practice, weekly practice, whatever it is, to really look for those bits of magic.
And it's also when. Because you use I find that a really interesting couple of examples, because they're by your kind of rule book, they're opposites, right? So there's got the maths homework, and then you've got sitting with them, watching the telly. If you had to fast forward, I don't know, 20 years, what do you think your daughter is more likely to remember?
Yeah. Sorry, that's done me. I don't know. Just that. I hope whatever they think in 20 years that I was there, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just I hope that I was there and I was present. I was there for them. At every occasion, all them through these bits over here and these bits over here and magic. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
You good, man? You good?
Yeah. I'm good.
You okay, mate?
Yeah. I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. This is the beauty. Someone said to me the other day, about the "You All Right, Mate" campaign. How successful has that been? I said, obviously, how did you define success, right? Cliche. But and I said, if I asked if has it gone viral and have I reached hundreds of millions of people, no. How many people message me on a weekly basis and go, "You all right, mate?" And to the point where I go, especially I've gone through some challenges the last few months as well, personally. So, I see that come up, and they might have texted me earlier in the day or something else, and I might have not responded because I'm in that place over here, and they go, "You all right, mate?" Oh, fucking hell. I've got to respond to that, haven't I? Yeah. I'm going to respond. I can't say that, and I can't tell you how much that's helped me. Just me. So even if this whole campaign not done anything, no one's messaged anyone else other than a few people messaging me.
I love that.
That's success. But luckily, I say luckily, actually no, that's wrong. That is success. That's amazing. I feel loved, seen.
Yeah.
Get people asking me, "I'm all right." But I know that there has been other people. I know every time I post something, one other person might see it and they've messaged someone else and they go, I'm just going to check in on the mate. I've had people who have screenshotted me stuff saying, I messaged my mate and he responded, he's struggling at the minute. Fuck. It's maybe, like, yeah. And you always go, like, what are we going to do in life? Impact, purpose. You know, who am I? I'm not going to change the world, but can I change a little bit? This small corner of the world. Can I do a little bit here? Can that create a little bit of a ripple that might impact someone? Maybe. Am I making it a little bit of a better world for my kids to grow up in? Maybe. Just where we are. Maybe. We can do that, and that's okay, right?
Love that. And that's you know, it's that bit by bit thing, right? Yeah. It's like I was saying a minute ago, like, you know, just sometimes like doing bits is enough, you know, because no one can fix everything in one go. You know what I mean? It's just about chipping away at it. Yeah. Okay, so I guess like my last question for you is like, what would you, from everything that you've maybe explored today or that's come up for you, what small change do you think you could make in the next few days that will help to chip away a bit more at that narrative?
You know what, and I'm being serious about this. I will, like, for me, like, listening to it and planning it out in my head, what's going to help is something I'd started, and then as normal as a lot of habits stop, right? But my gratitude journal, to every day just write something down that you're grateful for, one thing. That is something I will leave here today and do from ongoing, 100%. Because just going on that journey through and talking, and you've asked some brilliant questions, and really making me think questions, you know what I mean? Which is, for my little brain, is always tough. But you go, like, going on that journey through it and going, I'm sitting here now, right at this minute, looking back at over this year. And like I said, I've had some really tough things happen this year. And yet at the same time, there's so much magic that's happened. So many little gold moments that, you know, that I'm so truly grateful for. And I'm just going to look for them more.
Love that.
So, mate.
Man, thank you so much for coming on this. But it means a lot to me that you come on here. Like, I really admire you, like all the stuff you've done. So really appreciate that.
Oh, mate, no, honestly, you've got a gift, my friend. You've got a gift. This. Thank you for taking it. I must admit, when you mentioned to me about it, you said about the podcast, and I was like, yeah, of course, yeah, I'll come and have a chat. And you explained to me what you want to try and. You've taken me on this journey through it, right? And more so than I've got a lot out of it, so I'm very grateful for that. Thank you, mate.
I'm so glad.
Amazing.
Well, this has been Business Blogs, and I've been Olivier Nicholas, and this has been wonderful Sam Thomas.
Amazing. Thank you, mate. Wow.